Hey guys, Lancer here. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks again for joining me while we look into the weekly market update for Dual Lands Revised Edition and also to see what the market movers are for the day and obviously what's been happening for the last week. There's been some strange movement in the dailies, especially with some of the dinosaurs, which is interesting me. I'm not too sure if that means that people are trying to make dino decks again or if something else is happening where maybe people are predicting that dinosaurs are going to come out in Modern Horizons 2. If anyone has any ideas, please let me know. But let's get to it. So I guess I'll just do a quick recap of Dual Lands. So I think there was a video put out recently from Rudy saying that the Dual Lands have had a bit of a pullback. Still a good buying opportunity. As far as I can tell, they really have not pulled back as far as like in any level that I can see. The revised Dual Lands are still moving pretty high and they're keeping pretty consistent as well. So these spikes, they're actually starting to get met by the market. Even for Badlands and other lands that are like focused mainly on decks that are coming out recently, they are very, very hot. I don't think that these are going to pull back as much as people think. And from my point of view, the one that I'm missing, Tiger, it's unfortunate, but I really feel like at some point when I get a decent deal on a Tiger, maybe on eBay, if it falls to around about 300 to 300 and maybe 50, might just have to take the dip and get this card because it's the last one I need for my collection, at least as far as revised goes. Obviously, I wouldn't mind getting multiples of them, but that's a different matter. So the Tigers that you can see, the lightly played $427, a moderately played for $379, $380. You can probably get a better deal from eBay, but then you had to have like a good check on them to make sure that they're legit. Tropical Island, $719. This actually does look like it's plateauing, or at least flatlining. We'll have to come back and check these in probably another week to another couple of months, because if they keep going at this rate, it wouldn't really make sense unless the trust in the world economies and the currencies of the world really does fall to that level. And currently, the governments and the federal central banks are doing a pretty good job of like making sure that people aren't sitting on money because they don't want people to be saving. But the people that want to save are going to have to figure out where else to put their money because the mentality to save is kind of like protecting yourself from the future. So that's the reason why people even invest. So, if the governments around the world are like, no, no, we want to make jobs, so we're going to make sure that you guys invest in businesses and housing and things, and people are like, no, we don't really trust those things because, they all look like they're pretty inflated. People are getting pretty greedy. This feels like greed as well, but people are getting greedy, so we're going to invest in things that we find value in, and whether that be crypto or stocks or collectibles, and let's see if they hold their values. That includes silver and gold. So that's kind of one reason why it happens, but that's a bit of a tangent. Everything else looks like it's still moving up for dual lands. Nothing, except maybe a bit of a pullback for the Volcanic Island, but nothing crazy. So the daily movers for today, Fountain of Youth, spiking quite a bit. This is most likely near mint copies that are being. I don't know who's grading anymore because I thought that every single grading services also increase their prices. But it seems like people are buying like the best copies and then putting up the values and seeing what sells. This is from the dark, but it's not a reserve list card, but it is an old card. And the value of sitting around $1.36 at TCG, it's a bad card, but it's an old card. So it depends on what you guys find valuable. But you can get it for 80 cents, apparently moderately played. The best copy of a near mint is $20. I'm sure, yeah, near mint, $40, $70. It's a lot of manipulation at the top end where people are going to try to get those graded and then sealed away. If you find that valuable, then you can try it, but I just feel like there's better cards to put money into. Merchant Ships from Arabian Nights has also moved up by a huge percentage. This is on the reserve list. It isn't a good card, but it's not. It's kind of like a. It's a human. That's kind of weird. I was going to say it's a pirate, but yeah, it's heavily manipulated. A 0/2 human for 1 blue mana, can't attack unless defending player controls an island. It's a 0/2, just a heads up. Whenever it attacks and isn't blocked, you gain 2 life. When you control no island, sacrifice the merchant ship. It's a weird life gain ship. It doesn't feel that good nowadays when you have treasure tokens. It would have made much better sense if it said whenever it attacks and isn't blocked, you gain a treasure token or something strange like that. Then you can put it inside a deck that allows you to swing freely at other people and get yourself some treasure tokens. But nope, none of that. Masticore, Urza's Destiny has also spiked. This is on the reserve list. It's gone up by, it's a huge percentage over the last couple of weeks. But I think this is actually not a bad card. It's an interesting card. It's an artifact, 4 mana for a 4/4. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may choose and discard a card from your hand. If you don't, sacrifice the artifact. Pay 2, it deals 1 damage to target creature, and pay 2 to regenerate. It's not a great card. It's not the artwork is kind of interesting, but not the best. Howling Mines. Now this card you can get in a couple of different versions, so it's not on the reserve list. $4.80 on TCG for a classic 6th edition, but you can also get them for... Actually, you know what? That is one of the cheapest versions you can get. So the alpha one is $1,000. So yeah. Desertion from 6th edition as well. Do I have this card? I feel like I might have this, but counter target artifacts, counter target spell. If it's an artifact or a creature, you put it under your control instead of the opponent's owner's graveyard. I think this is actually a really good card, and I can see the reason for interest peaking, especially if you have a blue deck. Yeah, I think it's a good card. Reality Shift. Now this card has always been pretty expensive. There was a point where it was like $2, but even then, for a what do you call it? For a uncommon, it's a pretty expensive card. It's 2 mana, instant, exile target creature, its controller manifests the top card of his or her library. Yeah, it's not bad. But it's sitting at $5.24, and it's actually still moving up, so I keep an eye on that. Battlefield Forge moving up by, what was it, almost 10%, 20%? $3.03 on TCG, but you never know. Shadowstorm from Antiquities, not on the reserve list, $214. This is a heavy market manipulation. You can see that it's, I mean, $32 is still pretty expensive, but it's an old, very old card. And it actually isn't a bad card. So all artifacts in play are discarded. Artifact creatures cannot be regenerated. Yeah, it's a very decent card. And in red, yeah, there's a lot of effects like this, but I think this is not a bad one. So yeah, it was obviously bought out on April 9th and started spiking out for the near mints at almost, what is that, 50 times normal price. Ashnod's Altar, really good card, but this is obviously from Antiquities. You can get other versions for $12, $13. Chronicles for $7.93. So, you know, that's just white-bordered. But if you wanted a black-bordered one, then you're going to have to pay almost 4 or 5 times the price. And you can get a Ashnod's Altar from, what is it? That was from, oh, sorry, Eternal Masters. So. And Thunder Dragon, I don't remember ever seeing this card, but it actually doesn't feel too bad in the Kalia deck. So flying, when it comes into play, deals 3 damage to each creature without flying. Not a bad card. You can get it for $5.76 on TCG. It is something that comes in the starter 1999 deck and is not on the reserve list. Ragman, creepy. Yeah, this is okay. Look at the opponent's hand. If an opponent has a creature card in hand, he or she discards them at random. It's not a bad... okay, it's not a good card. It's not on the reserve list. But I can see its potential in a discard-themed deck. But obviously what's happening is it's from the dark. A lot of people are buying it, the near mint copies, and they're probably trying to just bump up the prices for anyone that's desperate enough to try to grade them. And last one, it is from the reserve list, Mammoth Harness from Homelands. Not a bad card, but it is spiking up just as everything else was. It's not like spiking up a huge amount, but it was from 48 cents to almost $3. That's not a bad price, especially when came in at 48 cents and bought them all up. And near mint is selling for $10, but so. Okay, so let's have a look at what MTG Goldfish has to say about the daily movers. So Corvold has been moving up by 35% this week. Ren and Seri, pretty impressive card, moving up by 18%. Now, what I was keeping out, so obviously we have a lot of the new Strixhaven cards that have been moving up, so that's fine. And they're going to be hard to keep track of until everything stabilizes. So you're going to have to give that some time. That's actually really good. That's a good card. But I think one of the big things to remember is like cards like Croxa, Sprite Dragon, but that's from the promo, Rankle moving down by 16%. Those are probably the big ones to keep an eye on. Vorinclex moving down by 4%. These are all from Strixhaven, so there's not much point to keep an eye on them for now. Ugin moving down by 2%. Nah, nothing impressive. Robber of the Rich moving up by 8%. Rudy of the Rich. Nope. Yeah, so no, nothing too crazy happening in standard. A lot of the movements is from Strixhaven. Doubling season moving up to $90, an 8% move today. Null Spine Dragon moving up by 35% to $20 today. The rest of these, Commandeer, yeah, that's not a bad card. That's not a bad card. It was always pretty expensive for what it was, so something to keep an eye on. But yeah, I feel like a lot of these cards, they're not anywhere close to settling down. So Spellweaver, Helix, Doubling Season, Sword of Feast and Famine. I know that Sword and Fire and Ice is moving down, but Feast and Famine is moving up by 7%. Boseiju, who shelters all, very good card, moving up by 11% this week. So we'll have to come back to this as well. I see Fable of the Wolf and Owl is moving down by 16%. And I remember this card sitting at $24 a while back, so no surprises there. That's insane movement. Grave Pact is a really good card, moving down by 14% to $32. And Kozilek is now sitting around about $100. It's amazing, but most of those Eldrazi's are now sitting around about $100. Moving to Pioneer, Elunda the Dusk Rose moved up by 5% today. But let's have a look at, so as foretold, moving up by 59% this week to $20. Crazy. Smothering Tide still moving up by 9% to $45.95. Corvold is on here as well, obviously. Archangel of Thune moving up by 10%. Finale of Eternity moving up by 101%. Elanda, yeah. Master of Cruelties moving up by 17%. That Mirrorwing Dragon makes sense as well for what's happening, but one of the ones I want to really figure out what's going on is Zakama the Primal Calamity and Gishath Sun's Avatar moving up by enough to be noted in this week's daily move. They're gonna have to keep an eye on them for next week, but I am very interested whenever dinosaurs move up because it's either people that know what might be coming in the future. And there is no doubt that there are no better dinosaurs than these two for running a commander deck for dinosaurs as of yet. You can obviously have other, and in fact, it's probably a better idea to have other red, green, white commanders that can pump out big creatures because neither one of these really do a good job of it. But they are the coolest of dinosaurs. So we'll have to keep an eye on what's happening there. Liliana of the Dreadhorde General moving down by 2% today. Let's have a look at the biggest movers. Garruk, Caller of Beast, moving down by 18%. Helm of the Host, moving down by 8%. That did actually take off quite a bit. And Northern Procession. Yeah, so Smothering Tide is moving up. I always get those kind of confused, but an Ordered Procession moved up by a huge amount in the last couple of weeks. So no doubt it moving down by 4% is not going to help a lot of people. Slivers moving down by 10%. Maybe there's a bit less people panicking about it. Ugin might have hit its peak. People are starting to sell back into it. And Aros, God of Victory. I remember this moving up by a decent amount last week. Moving down by 8%. We'll have to see if that's going to make a big difference. And to finish it off with the cards we can probably not afford well. So you got Scrublands, Magic Hack Manipulated moving up by 670. Merchant Ship moving up by 683. That's obviously not gonna. That's not true. Island of Walk 104% today. I mean this week. That one maybe. But I'd be very careful with all of this. If you can get a good deal, obviously that's a different matter. But if you can't, then I probably wouldn't go crazy on this kind of stuff. This is probably not the best time. Haven't still figured out what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. And if you're going to buy any of the reserve list cards, I'd probably start building a position slowly. If you're going to start now, it would have been. It's a different matter if you started earlier and then slowly start building into it. But if you're going to start now, I'd start very slowly, maybe one a week or one a month. Of some of the ones that are over like $200. As for the biggest drops, you got Hercules recalled, moving down by 30%. Ring of Maruf moving down by 49%. Aladdin's Ring moving down by 63%. But there really isn't anything too crazy going on right now. One of the big things to remember is when you're buying any of these cards, you might want to make sure that you got the right card. I'm sure that most of you guys know how to check with a jeweler's loop and so on to make sure that you're getting a legit copy of the card. That's the problem with the near mint ones, you know, like the ones that are graded. Just put them inside a box. I guess no one can really take them off because they come with the serial and everything and can be tracked through PSA or the other grading places. But yeah, you got to be careful with what you're buying nowadays anyways. There's a lot of desperate people out there, and not to mention there's a lot of people that are just willing to sell total crap to people. Anyways, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. Take care and have a good one. I'll see what else I can come up with for the next couple of days, and see you next time.